Today, we become legends.
Hey, my name's Inter, and welcome back to the channel. This time we have the items for Smite 2. Obviously, the whole item system is completely flipped on its head in Smite 2. Any god can build any item. There's strength and intelligence. There's all this other stuff. There's active items. There's tons of stuff to go over. But the patch notes have released, and so we got the full list of all of the items and what they're going to do. So I'm going to be going over those and the general changes to the item system. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump in. So first up, some design goals that they have for the new item system. So to better facilitate player creativity of Smite 2, to increase the skill cap of Smite for competitive play, both very good things. To provide a new and unique experience, it will definitely be new, that's for sure. Create items that have more specific and intentional purposes, also really good to hear. Avoid items that do a little bit of everything, again, very, very good to hear. These are a lot of like the complaints that people had about the Smite 1 item system. Significantly reduced item stat blow, again, very similar to this. Just make sure like there aren't any items where it literally just has everything you possibly could want. Because that's kind of what happened with Smite 1 over the years, you know. Smite 1 probably started off in a similar place to this, but over the years, like every item just got every stat, it felt like, and it was super easy to get stat capped on like pretty much everything in your build. Create strong trade-offs and build choices, yeah, very similar thing. Create impactful passive and active effects. The main goal for Alpha 1 items was to ensure that all god/role combinations have a complete build and flex option supported. Yeah, if anything, I would say that there is a little bit of a lack of items currently in the alpha. Of course, more items will get added over time towards release and even into the future and stuff like that, but there is like seems to be a little bit of a lack of items in certain situations. We are excited to continue to make more intense and exciting items that can really change the gameplay of a god or match in Smite 2. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they add over time in Smite 2, because the new system has a lot of potential for some really cool items, I think. So a lot of the art and visual effects and audio effects are currently placeholders, so keep that in mind if you're playing in the alpha. Many items have placeholder icon art, mostly repurposed from Smite 1. Yeah, a lot of them are just hue-shifted Smite 1 items. All items purchasable by all gods. Yep, some items will now be marked unique. Players are allowed to have duplicates of non-unique items in their inventory at the same time. You cannot have duplicates of unique items. So this is this makes it look like you can build multiple tier 3 items. You can, as far as I'm aware. Every single tier 3 item is unique. The items that are not unique are like health potions, tier 2 items, and tier 1 items, because obviously you might need multiple tier 1 and tier 2 items to build fully into your tier 3 item, which we'll get to in a second. Because Smite 2 items will use a component-based system instead of a tree-based system that Smite 1 used. This means that tier 3 items will be built from a combination of tier 1 and tier 2 items, plus an additional gold cost. Like a crafting recipe instead of being a linear upgrade. So yeah, basically, if you ever played League, it's the same item system as League. It's all built from components. The main advantages of this system are that stats can now have efficient gold value that is uniformly applied to all items with that stat, allowing for more consistent item power, and players will now have more options as they upgrade their items. In Smite 1, it was possible to start purchasing items in the wrong physical power tree, limiting your options. In Smite 2, the tier 1 strength item will be used as a component for every other strength item in the game. So yeah, if you're looking for an attack speed item, you'll buy the attack speed tier 1, and then maybe if later on in the match you decide you want to change what the item's going to be, you can do that, or if you went like the wrong thing. It's kind of hard to go the wrong thing now, because you just go, oh yeah, I want this attack speed item, so I'll buy the attack speed tier 1. All players start the match with a vision ward. Ward functionality is basically the same. All players start with purification beads as well. All of your passive, active items and consumables go into your 6-slot inventory. Inventory will default auto-sort consumables and actives to the first slot to make sure those buttons and keybinds are the most commonly used. So yeah, if you only have one active item in your build, it'll be in your first slot always. You can also manually reorder your inventory by dragging items from one slot to another or following the console button prompts. Yeah, I do feel like this is going to be a little bit rough for console players. We'll see how it works out on controller though once the alpha launches. Smite 2 now has active items with active effects that fire with a button press. These are auto sorted to the first slot. Yeah, we know this. And then passive items are still there as well. So here's a bunch of the tier 1 items. I'll just scroll through them slowly. They all give like a different stat. Like some have health, some have int, some have mana, some have cooldown rate, some have attack speed. All that kind of stuff. A bunch of tier 2 items as well. I'm not going to look at these too much. It's merely the tier 3 items that we need to go over, so I'll just kind of scroll past these. If you guys want, you can pause the video to have a look at some specific ones, but the tier 2 items are just either smaller versions of the passives from the tier 3 items, or just like little mini passives, so you're not going to have them for too long. But here we go, here's the tier 3 items. So Amanita Charm, this is the one. The active effect creates a mushroom that heals allied gods within 6.4 meters for 5% health every 1 second for 5 seconds, so you're going to get 25% max health overall from this. This is basically the meditation replacement. You know, I imagine once Assault gets added, this is going to be a very popular item in Assault. Probably you're only going to want it on tanks because it has protections and health. But yeah, this is definitely going to be popular in Assault, that's for sure. Unless maybe in Assault you get free meditation instead of your beads or in addition to your beads. I think that will be a cool change. You get like basically a free heal in Assault. Atalanta's bow, 30 strength, 30% attack speed, 2750 gold. Passive, when you hit an enemy god with a basic attack, you get a 5% reduced movement penalty, and this stacks up to 4 times for 20% total. So this is just Atalanta's bow from Smite 1 with different stat spread. Avatar's Parachute, 2900 gold, 55 strength. Active, you gain 20% increased strength for 10 seconds with a cooldown of 3 minutes. You'll see this a lot with a lot of the very strong passives or active items. They have really weak stats, like 2900 gold for 55 strength. That is weak sauce, dude, but obviously the active effect is quite powerful. Bagua Mirror, 2450 gold, 85 magical protection. Passive, when you take magical damage, you gain 15 plus 1 per level strength and 20 plus 2 per level intelligence for 6 seconds. Baelor's Eye, so this is your main like percent magical penetration item, kind of similar to Obsidian Shard from Smite 1. There's going to be no flat pen in the game, so this is like your main percent pen option. 2400 gold, 20 intelligence, 250 max mana, and 25% pen. So you definitely do sacrifice a lot on like the power in your build, or the intelligence in your build, I should say, when you buy this, but you're going to be getting 25% pen, which is a little bit more than it would give you in Smite 1. Obviously, Obsidian Shard has that passive as well, so it's kind of similar-ish. Baneful Rapier, 2400 gold, 20 strength, 20% crit. Passive, when you critically strike an enemy god, you gain 15% attack speed for 4 seconds. So this is basically Wind Demon, or Demon Blade from Smite 1, just with a different name. The Bindings of Lingvi, 2300 gold, 30 physical protection, 40 magical protection. Passive, enemy gods hit by your hard CC effects lose 15 physical prot and 15 magical prot for 4 seconds. So this is basically Stone of Binding from Smite 1. You'll see that there are quite a few items that are going to be essentially directly ported over from Smite 1, maybe with different names, but there are also a ton of new items as well. Blinking Amulets, this is going to be a very popular one. 2550 gold, 200 health, 7 cooldown rate, 5% movement speed. Active, you are teleported to the target location with a cooldown of 3 minutes. This can be used in combat, but yeah, this is basically the way you access Blink in Smite 2. Bloodbound Book, 2675 gold, very weird price there. 60 intelligence, 20% lifesteal, and passive, when you drop below 30% HP, you gain 10% max HP plus 50% intelligence as a shield, and that's a cooldown of 1.5 minutes. So this is basically all Book of the Dead, except it also scales with like a shitload of int, so that's going to give you like a massive shield. This is probably going to be quite a popular item there. This is definitely an Anubis item for sure. And just in general, lifesteal on mages is probably going to be better in Smite 2 because there's no longer an AoE lifesteal coefficient that's reducing your lifesteal down to a third of what it normally would be for AoE abilities. So this lifesteal is going to be quite valuable, and yeah, this shield seems super good, dude. 10% max HP plus 50% of your intelligence. I feel like you could easily get up to like maybe 500-600 intelligence in a build, so this is going to be a big fat shield for you. Bloodforged Blade, 2600 gold, 40 strength, 17.5% lifesteal, and active you gain a shield that scales with your strength, very similar to this one. So this is basically Bloodforged, but instead it's an active effect. You press it and you get the shield, which gives you a lot more control over it compared to Smite 1 Bloodforge. Bragi's Harp, or Bragi's Harp, 3000 gold, 30 strength, 35 int, 20% attack speed. Passive, all targets hit by your basic attacks take 5 plus 2 per level bonus magical damage. So this is very similar to Telkind's Ring from Smite 1, just a little bit of extra on hit damage. This is a very expensive item, but I feel like it will be quite popular, especially on a lot of the hybrid ADCs. Cerdanos is the main one that I think would use this in the current roster, but, you know, as they add more, you know, as they add the magical ADCs, as they add some other hunters that might have good int scaling, I think this is going to be really good. Because Cerdanos obviously loves having both strength and int and attack speed, and then this passive is going to be really useful for him as well. Brawler's Ruin, 2450 gold, 50 strength, 5 mana regen, and anti-heal passive. This is basically Brawler's Beat Stick minus the pen, because flat pen's not going to be in the game anymore. Chronos Pendant, 2500 gold, 45 int, 25 cooldown rate, and the same passive from Smite 1. This is just ported. Dagger of Frenzy, 2900 gold, 30 strength, 17.5% attack speed, and active, you gain 60 basic attack damage and 30% attack speed for 6 seconds with a cooldown of 50 seconds. This seems really good, dude. The base stats on it aren't amazing, but that's generally how they are with a lot of the active items, and this is crazy, dude. 60 basic attack damage and 30% attack speed for a decent duration. That's pretty strong, and very low cooldown on the effect as well. Definitely expect to see this on a lot of auto-attacking assassins and hunters. Deathbringer is pretty much directly ported, 20% crit, 30 strength, and 25% increased crit damage for 2950 gold. Moving on to Death Metal, 2550 gold, 20 strength, 25 int, 17.5% crit, and active, you and ally gods within 6.4 meters gain strength and intelligence and 20% attack speed for 6 seconds. So this is a bit of a weird one. It's like a crit item, but it has some kind of like supportive effect, very similar to like Frenzy from Smite 1. Much like Brawler's, Divine Ruin is also being ported over. Very similar stats to Smite 1 minus the flat pen. It's got some max mana on it instead. Dreamer's Idol, 2850 gold, 85 intelligence, and active you gain 20% increased intelligence for 10 seconds. So this is basically the intelligence equivalent of that strength item that we saw earlier. Eldritch Orb, 2850 gold, 145 intelligence. That's it. That's it. It's just a big fat intelligence bomb in your build. And this is what they were kind of talking about with like reducing the stat bloat on items. Like if this item existed in Smite 1, I mean I guess it kind of does. It's sort of like a Doom Orb style item. It would have like movement speed, a percent pen, and all these extra effects. Like nah, you are just buying a big fat intelligence bomb if you buy this item. Eye of Providence, 2350 gold, 20 physical prot, 25 magical prot, 200 health, 10 cooldown rate. So pretty decent stats overall. And active, create a ward that reveals enemies and enemy wards. So yeah, this is basically the way you get some sentry wards. Eye of the Storm, 2700 gold, 25 strength, 20 physical prot, 20 magical prot, and 225 max health. So this is basically one of the hammers. It's almost like a Blackthorn style item. Like you're just buying this as a massive stat pile of like all the stats you would want. Probably going to be very good on strength-based solo laners and maybe even some junglers that want to go a little bit more tanky. Gem of Focus, 2775 gold, 45 intelligence, 20 cooldown rate, and passive whenever you cast an ability, you gain 15 intelligence and 3% movement speed, and that stacks up to 3 times. So very similar to Gem of Focus from Smite 1, but just shifted around a little bit. Gem of Isolation is being pretty much directly ported as well. 2400 gold, 225 max health, 175 max mana, 40 intelligence, and the passive, enemy gods hit by your abilities are affected by a 15% slow for 2 seconds. Hand of the Abyss, 2425 gold, 50 intelligence, 22.5% attack speed, and passive, when you hit an enemy god or jungle boss with an ability, you gain 15 basic attack damage for 6 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. So this is interesting, sort of leaning more towards like an auto attack ability hybrid intelligence user, which I'm not sure really exists. I guess maybe Cerdanos might like this. Maybe Neath as well. Yeah, definitely an interesting item there for sure. If this had strength on it, you might honestly want it on like auto attack cancelling junglers just to get that extra basic attack damage after you use your abilities. But the fact that it has attack speed and the fact that it has int, like it's probably more so meant to aim towards like Neath and Cerdanos, those like hybrid int and basic attack ability users. Helm of Darkness, 25 gold, 50 intelligence, 35 magical prots, and active you become stealth for 6 seconds with a cooldown of 2 minutes. So this is why I kind of like the active item system, because like Shadow Drinker in Smite has always been such a weird, like hard to use trash item. This will be a lot better because you can choose when you want to use the stealth and actually have control over it. Helm of Radiance, 25 gold, 60 intelligence, 25 physical prot, and passive, when you take physical damage you gain 10 physical protection for 6 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. So this is very similar to was it Celestial Legion Helm? I can't remember the name of the actual item, but a similar item existed in Smite 1 for a while, where like as you take damage you get more and more protection stacks. And 60 int on it as well, so this is probably going to be one of those items you pick up if you want to be a little more defensive as a mid laner. Like if a physical jungle is diving you a lot, you could pick this item up. Hussar's Wings, 2350 gold, 45 physical protection, 30 magical protection, and active you are cleansed of all slows, gain slow immunity, and 10% movement speed. The cooldown of 30 seconds, so very low there. So yeah, this is basically a self-wing blade. Hydra's is making a return. It's basically identical to its Smite 1 counterpart, except obviously it has strength, and the percent pen is gone from it as well. Jade Scepter, 2900 gold, 85 intelligence, 225 max mana, 4 mana regen. Active, enemy gods in front of you are displaced up and away from you with a cooldown of 1.5 minutes. So there's an active effect, being able to like peel for yourself. When a Wheelix gets added, this will be really nice. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to be that great on a Wheelix. I can't imagine it's going to have like great intelligence scaling, but it still could be funny. Jotuns is back, maybe not necessarily as a rush though. 2800 gold is pretty expensive, but it no longer has flat pen on it, obviously, because flat pen's not in the game anymore. But it also has Spear of Desolation's passive, essentially. So Spear of Desolation, as far as I'm aware, is not in the game anymore, but yeah, Jotuns still has the strength, still has the cooldown rate, and then it has that unique passive as well, but has lost the pen. Leviathan's Hide, 2650 gold, 65 physical prot, and passive, enemies who hit you with basic attacks lose 5% strength, stacks up to 3 times, so one of your classic anti-hunter items. The Dagda's Great Club, 2900 gold, 20 strength, 175 health, 20 cooldown rate, passive, enemies hit by your abilities take 15 plus 30% of your prots as bonus damage, so it's Glad Shield, they've just renamed it. Meteor Hammer, this is one of my favorite items that I used in the playtest, so 2900 gold, 20 strength, 225 max health, 15% attack speed, and the passive, enemies within 2.5 meters of your basic attack target take 15 plus 12.5% of your item protections as bonus physical damage. So this is kind of like Golden Blade, but for tanks, because it scales off of your protections, and I believe it also applies to the target you hit as well, this bonus damage. So going to be really good on your auto-attacking solo laners like Bellona and stuff. Musashi's Dual Swords, 2450 gold, 20 strength, 20% crit. Passive, when you crit an enemy god, you gain 10% movement speed. So they've sort of separated out Demon Blade. It not only gives movement speed and attack speed. There's one that gives attack speed, and then there's one that gives movement speed as well. So this is definitely going to be better for like your crit junglers. You know, when Mercury gets added, he probably likes this item. Maybe Fenrir likes this as well, because you'll be a crit with Fenrir's 3 now. Probably very good for him. The Necronomicon, 25 gold, 45 int, 20 cooldown rate. Passive, when you get a kill or assist on an enemy god, you gain 1 stack of 50 intelligence, but you also lose 20 protections per stack of each. Stacks up to 3 times, and all stacks are removed on death. So this is kind of like... almost in the similar vein of like the original Doom Orb and Heartseeker, where it's like big risk, big reward. You know, in theory, this item can give 195 intelligence and 20 cooldown rate, which is absolutely absurd. That's by far the highest of any intelligence item in the game. But of course, you're very vulnerable there. You're going to be losing 60 of each prots, which if the base stats are fairly similar to Smite 1, means you're basically taking true damage. You have less than 60 prots as a squishy. So yeah, a very high risk, high reward item. Going to be very interesting to see how that goes. You know, if you feel like you can do it, if you feel like you could not die, you're going to be doing so much damage. But yeah, you're basically going to be taking true damage from people. Obsidian Shredder, 2950 gold, 45 strength, and passive enemy gods hit by your abilities lose 1 per level physical protection for 4 seconds. Yeah, so weirdly, like, Flat Pen as a stat is gone, and they say they don't want to bring it back, but this is basically Flat Pen. I know it's protection reduction, so it's technically a little bit better than Pen, but it is basically Flat Pen. Phantom Ring, 2400 gold, max health of 300, cooldown rate of 25, and active, you and allied gods within 6.4 meters become immune to impediments, allowing you to walk through player mid-walls. So yeah, basically this has a shell on it if you're going to need that for like your Odins or your Mojas when she gets added, that kind of stuff. Pharaoh's Curse, 2400 gold, 45 physical prot, 10 cooldown rate, and active enemies within 5.6 meters are affected by a 25% slow and 25% attack speed reduction for 6 seconds. Very low cooldown on this as well. 40 seconds is like almost usable twice in one fight. That's kind of insane. You're going to have this up very often. Phoenix Feather, 2650 gold, 55 magical prots, 250 max health, and active you are healed for 300 health plus 30% of your missing HP. This is a really good item. I use this a lot in the playtests on my tanks. If you're right about to die, you're at like 5% health, it can heal like an absolutely ridiculous amount. Like you pretty much go from about 5% health back to 50% immediately. So like, this is really cool. The cooldown's very long. It's 6 minutes, but it can really make plays, this item. Polynomicon is back, but it's significantly reduced. I think it's like 75% of your magical power in Smite 1. It's only going to be 30% of your intelligence in Smite 2, but yeah, Polynomicon's back. But also, interestingly about Polynomicon is that, you know, hunters can build this now. You know, your intelligence hybrid hunters, like Neith can build Polynomicon now. She could build Hydras as well if she wanted to, but she could build Polynomicon. Cernanos could build this. Yeah, it could be very interesting that Polynomicon is opened up to some other gods that wouldn't have been able to have access to it in Smite 1. Kins is back, basically the same. Stats have been shifted around a little bit. But yeah, Kins is back. Who would have expected that? Ruinous Ankh, 2500 gold, 20 physical prot, 26 magical prot. It's weird. 250 health, 150 mana, and passive enemies within 8.8 meters have 40% reduced healing. So yeah, basically it's Pestilence, but with shifted stats. Scepter of Dominion, this is a very spicy one. 2400 gold, 15 int, and 10 cooldown rate. Basically no base stats, but the active, after 2 seconds, an area is created that causes stasis for everyone in the area. So basically, can't act, can't take damage, can't deal damage, can't do anything for 2 seconds. And that has a cooldown of 4 minutes. Very interesting active item. I think this is probably going to be a major trolling fest in the casual lobbies, but I think in like high level play and SPL, once that gets started up, you could maybe find some insane uses for this item. Like you capture like their whole team on Gold Fury with this, and then everyone just positions around them and gets like a silo ready for them or something. Like I think some insane plays could be made with this. Screeching Gargoyle at 2200 gold, 55 magical prot, 10 cooldown rate, and active enemy gods in front of you are silenced for 2 seconds. So just a nice little bit of hard CC on your item there. Definitely could find some use for this. You know, some gods that need setup or whatever, need people to not be able to jump away or something like that. You could definitely find use for this. Serpent Spear, 2650 gold, 15 strength, 175 mana, and 30% physical pence. This is basically the equivalent of the magical that we saw earlier. It's basically Titan's Bane. Shogun's Ofuda is basically Shogun's Kasari, minus a few of the stats. They're trying to remove a lot of the stat blow, so you just get 60 magical prots and then 20% attack speed aura. Silken Mailcoat, 2250 gold, 50 physical prot, and passive enemies within 8.8 meters lose attack speed and lose crit chance, which is interesting. That's not an effect we've had in Smite 1 before. We've obviously had like spectral armor as anti-crit, but this literally makes them lose crit chance, which is kind of interesting. You know, if they only have 1 crit item's worth of stuff, you can basically not allow them to crit with this. Soul Devourer, 2850 gold, 65 int, 250 mana, 4 mana regen, and passive enemy gods hit by your abilities take 15% current HP as bonus magical damage. This effect only triggers once per ability per god. So yeah, basically this is Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver's back. Who would have guessed? The Cosmic Horror, 29.25 gold, 125 int, 150 mana and 2 mana regen, and passive if you have more than 225 item intelligence, you gain 15 cooldown rate. So yeah, this thing gives 125 on its own, you just need 100 from some other items. You can basically read this item as having 15 cooldown rate. You can remove this whole part of it, it just has 15 cooldown rate, so it's just a big stat bomb. Stampede, 2600 gold, 35 physical protection, 325 health, and active, you and ally gods within 6.4 meters gain 25% movement speed, so it's basically sprint, minus the slow immunity. Sunbeam Bow, 225, 50 gold, 55 strength, and 17.5% attack speed. That seems a little bit understated considering it has no passive or active or anything, but just a big stat bomb for hunters, I guess. Emblem of Namaka, 2250 gold, 300 max health, 20 cooldown rate, and active, you and ally gods within 6.4 meters gain a shield, so it's basically shell. Talisman of Purification, this is basically beads on an item. You and ally gods within 6.4 meters are cleansed of all CC and gain CC immunity for 1 second. I think it's going to be very popular on supports. Everyone gets beads in Smite 2, but they are on a bit of a lower cooldown compared to especially fully upgraded beads in Smite 1. And I feel like just having an extra set of beads that you can use on your allies, like this is going to be an insane item for supports. Honestly, I would consider building this on solo laners and maybe even some damage dealers. Probably not, but like, because you'd lose too much damage. But having an extra set of beads, you know, even discounting the fact that it does it for ally gods as well, just being able to have a second set of beads is kind of insane. Tekko Kagi, 2800 gold, 50 strength, 10 cooldown rate, and passive whenever you use an ability, you gain 3% movement speed and 5 cooldown rate for 10 seconds. So it's sort of a physical gem of focus in a way, and you also get an extra cooldown rate. Executioner is back, but this time it stacks up to 5 times and has 10% pen, so you can get up to 50% pen with Executioner now, so that's going to be completely insane. Like, this has to be an auto build in all ADC builds, surely. Obviously, all ADC builds that are dealing mostly physical damage, you might not want this on Neither or Cerdanos, for example, and I think those are the main 2 hunters that are in the game at the moment. The Nemes, this is basically Thebes, 250 max health, 150 max mana, and you get 40 stacks of 1 of each protections as you get assists on lane minions. I'd be very sad if they didn't bring Thebes back as such a comfy support item, so you're probably still going to be rushing this on your supports. The Reaper, 2900 gold, 45 strength, 15% lifesteal, and passive when you hit an enemy god below 50% health, you gain an additional 15% lifesteal for 4 seconds. So just a big stat bomb of lifesteal and strength. The Whirlstone, 2900 gold, 95 in, and passive, your ultimate cooldown is reduced by 20%. So this is not like cooldown rate, this is probably going to go on top of cooldown rate. I'm not sure what the order of application will be. But yeah, if you've already got like a substantial amount of cooldown rate, because I've covered this in my previous video on the patch notes where I covered all the mechanics changes, but cooldown rate is being changed so that it has diminishing returns now. So if you already have like a shitload of cooldown rate and buying more cooldown rate won't be that good, you can kind of stack this on top and get a really low ultimate cooldown. Totem of Death, 2950 gold, 20 int, 15 cooldown rate, and passive when you hit an enemy god or jungle boss with an ability, gain 10% magical penetration for 4 seconds. And this stacks up to 5 times, so this is kind of like a gem of focus, but for penetration, I guess. This seems like it's going to be really good for the sort of like spammers. You know, Merlin's going to love this, Hebo's probably going to love this. But for those sort of burst mages that just want to one-shot people and not spam cooldowns like Scylla, she might want just the standard 30% pen item that exists. Triton's Conch, 2750 gold, 55 int, 300 health, 175 max mana, and passive, you and allies with 8.8 meters gain strength and intelligence. Wish Granting Pearl, 2500 gold, just gives int, max health, and mana, just a big stat bomb. And then Yogi's Necklace, 2700 gold, a lot of health, mana, health regen, and so it's kind of like Stone of Gaia, sort of. But yeah, that's all of the items. Having a look over them, I just realized, like, I was saying a lot of the items are expensive. Most of these items are very expensive, and it's probably because they all build from multiple tier 1s. So, like, you've got your tier 1s, and then they combine into a tier 2, and then you combine, like, 2 tier 2s or whatever into a full item. And that likely means that a lot of items will be of relatively similar cost if they're using similar components. So that's probably why a lot of these items appear to be, like, way more expensive than they are in Smite 1. There's not really a whole lot of super cheap items here. So a lot of the ones that I said were like giga expensive, like Jotuns or whatever, like it still is expensive at 2800, but it's probably not quite as expensive compared to the rest of the offerings. But yeah, that's all of the items in Smite 2. Very excited to give these a try, craft some builds. The alpha should be dropping later today as I'm recording this, so I'm super excited to get you guys some gameplay videos. Again, final plug for the second channel, Into Games, link down below. That's where I've been posting most of my Smite 2 gameplay videos. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. That's the full patch notes covered across these 3 videos. I've already got one out covering gods and general mechanics changes if you want to check those out. But yeah, I will catch you guys in another one later on. Peace.